Dylan and Kelly were hilarious. Kelly was awesome. Fun.
Kelly was fun. She was not supposed to be anybody, but then I ended up liking this tiny little nurse with a humor so much that I decided she should have her own book. And I went, well, okay, I'm going to pair you with the first cousin. I was like, okay, Dylan. And then I'm like, who is Dylan? What is he about? What has he gone through? So, he's a widower who's gone through really bad relationship because his wife was extremely depressed.
Oh, I wasn't going to give that away.
And, stuff happened.
Yeah.
And now he's still working through it and still trying to get past those old emotions and then get into the new ones. And mostly he was just kind of surprised by Kelly and her friends. I was surprised by Kelly and her friends.
Yes. Yes, I was very surprised.
But Kelly and her friends were a lot of fun.
I think Kelly's probably my favorite character.
You think she is?
Yeah. Katie's awesome, too. Kelly and Katie, I think, are my favorite characters. That's yours. Keep written.
Now, would that be because of Kelly's past? Like they're both kind of going through this poverty thing, where they're trying to figure out life and having a hard time. Kelly is the single mom. Katie was not. So if you don't know, Katie is from Kissing Katie. Kelly's from Reluctant Husband. They're similar in a lot of ways. Both kind of have this bad luck.
Have you?
And Dylan and Kelly are from Reluctant Husband because, yes, they got married. Oops.
Dylan,
but again, that's an honor theme because Dylan was trying to do the right thing because he gave his word and he's trying to do the right thing.
And then he opened his big mouth and then he kind of goes, oh.
Yeah, and kind of regretted it
at
the same breath in a way.
Or he was just kind of unsure how we was going to make that work or if it was a really good idea, bad idea. How do I do this? And
come on. Yeah, so
Kelly was just hilarious, from the beginning. I was like, oh yeah. Oh.
Well, Kelly had trouble. She just, I threw her into a lot of trouble because she was a fun, likable character and I threw her off the deep end and went, okay, how are you going to survive this? How are you going to deal with this? I mean, your friends basically kidnapped the guy that you like and said, hey, happy birthday, he's yours. And you just kind of went, oh my word. Yeah. Like, what do you want me to do with this? So she was a lot of fun.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I think I think having the unexpected is always good. And so after Reluctant Husband was Love and Lies. And that was Drew and Bethany. So we knew a little bit about Bethany in book number 1, Ring for Christmas.
She totally changed, but did.
Well,
which got me because at first I thought she was like this vapid blonde, and you're like, okay.
But it was real.
But then I'm like, is she blonde? At that point, I was like, oh
yeah, she's blonde.
But once you get into the story and you understand why, you're like, wow, your whole life. Yeah, wow. And then Drew was just like a lot of fun and kind of interesting.
Drew was exasperated most of the story, just kind of going, why am I doing this? Why am I putting up with this? Why are these people here? Why are they making my life harder? And he really liked her, which helped. He was just kind of like, But I think also the comparing to the, storybook hero was really good.
Yes.
Because she compared him to the storybook heroes that she read and kind of went, oh, he was my hero in that moment. And she got all the, tingly, fluttery, this is really awesome. And I think we all have that moment where we're like, ooh, the guy did the right thing. And we're like, ooh, that's really cute and really nice. And, thank you. Yeah. And so she had that moment. And
who doesn't want somebody to come save them? Hello.
Yeah, she had the moment where the guy got to save her. And he had the moment where he was like, she's looking at me like I'm some sort of hero who just saved her. And that feels really good. But, yeah, you're kind of crazy lady. Like, back off. So he was kind of getting the mixed signal, like, I really like you, but I'm not sure about your sanity.
I think I might regret this.
Who everything that she went through was explained about why
Mhm.
she was the way she was, and she really wasn't crazy.
And it was
She's actually a really nice, likable character.
It was awesome to see her take that second chance and that opportunity to embrace life again. And I think all your characters have the positive and embrace life and make the best of whatever situations and take that positivity instead of, they go through that life can suck or life can be unhappy and that pity party for one can happen for a few, sentences, but then they have that resilience. They don't get stuck in that for too long without helping each other or without it helping the reader to understand something with the lessons in there.
Well, I think it is okay. I didn't actually intend for there to be lessons in there, but I think there is, because it's just kind of making the positive out of what you can, making the best of it, and no matter how dark your life is, there's always something good going on that you can relate to. There's Jake and Sterling. And I like, too, how as we go throughout the series, we're still finding out new things about the old characters.
That's awesome.
So that is really neat, because their story is still continuing behind the scenes, and so we still kind of get sneak peeks at what's going on. Like, we learn about Michael and Anne, they have Amy, the little girl. We learn that Max is a snorer.
Yeah, that was hilarious.
And, really can snore.
But if you didn't read the other ones in the series, it doesn't ruin that story totally.
No,
I mean, you'll know that,
you know that they got together, but you don't know how necessarily they got together, or it might, give maybe a small paragraph blurb saying, this happened, but it doesn't give the whole game away. Mm-hmm. So you do have that chance.
I find it interesting that Sterling is still Sterling later on.
I think, I started with her being Sterling, so I wanted to keep that continuity. Even though her name is actually Sarah, and Sterling Denver is her pen name, we were introduced to her as Sterling. So I kept that consistency so readers wouldn't be confused. And I think that was the biggest goal behind it. And plus, I really love the name.
Yeah.
I mean, I like the name Sarah too, but it was like Sterling. Woohoo! That was really cool. And her too, like, I expected people not to really like her because she's been messing with the Ramsleys' lives for a long time. I had no idea she was going to be an important character. I just was like, this is so much fun writing the tabloids.
Yes.
What are they going to say next?
Yes.
About our prestigious billionaire family. And
because the tabloids were used for good and bad.
Well, they were. And she really went off the deep end a few times, and it was kind of fun just to see where she would go. And, so when I threw her in there and I'm like, you're going to chase down the story, you're going to chase down Jake and find out the story behind the man. Well, we knew nothing about Jake, so he was a blank slate. So it was fun to see what he would or wouldn't do. We learned that he hated camping.
And like the shiny pants.
Loved the shiny pants. He had ingenuity. So he could take a situation and, work with it and figure it out. Mm-hmm. He had a temper. And we all have tempers, so that was kind of bad. But he did own up and apologize and go on the right track.
I think he almost lost people there because he got pretty far. And you're like, how can she forgive him after all that? But how can he forgive her after all that?
That too.
So you go, well.
But we also learned why she did what she did.
Yeah.
And she had really good reasons.
Mm-hmm.
So that made it, we could forgive her. And then we got onto his betrayal and we're like, okay, she betrayed him, but we can understand, we can forgive her. And then we have his betrayal because he's mad and having a temper tantrum. Not really, but, I voiced it that way. But when he finally did come around and said, okay, I took it too far, this is... Mm-hmm. And he did a lot of reparation for all the damage that he did, and I think
without expecting anything in return. He wanted it, but he didn't expect it. He knew he was, this is how I'm sorry, and this is how I'm going to make it right, and that's the way you should be apologizing to people.
And and that was what won us over, I think, with that, and the fact that he put up with Dixby. who will eventually have his own story because he's just too interesting. And he keeps showing up in my country series and being a lot of fun.
And I think the Sterling you can identify with her as well, because there are always times where you can say, well, this is why I'm doing it. You can justify what you're doing, even if you know it's not necessarily right. And then later on, people are like, oh, well, that's just excuses. And you're like, yeah, but you don't understand. And so you can keep trying to justify or keep trying to explain. But then there's a point where you're just like, okay, well, now it is too far. And,
yeah,
maybe
how far do you really take things or not take things, right?
And am I just justifying and excusing, or am I...
And it's super easy to take it from one step to the next step to the next step to the next step and then go, oh, wait a minute, I have gone too far.
Or have people, there's opinions of you that are repercussions.
Oh, yeah.
And so you've kind of chosen this, but you didn't, but you did, but, yeah. And so that's easily identifiable.
Okay, and then after that was the Stranded with a Billionaire. Yes, plane crash, people. That was fun conflict.
Wow.
Throw them off the deep end of a situation and see how they do. We had Molson and Holly in Unlikely Hero.